Chapter 26. There was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land of which I shall tell you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I give all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father." He's about to leave the land. Why wouldn't he? That's what his dad did. Remember Abraham? It was a famine and he just ran down to Egypt. So he's just doing what his dad did. God intervenes here. In the adult life of Jesus, he didn't leave the land of promise. God here says, don't leave the land of promise. Don't leave this land. That keeps the parallel between Isaac and Jesus. Then God goes on to confirm with Isaac, the promises I made with Abraham, I'm confirming them directly with you. And verse 4 says, "And I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give to your descendants all these lands, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed." So that's a repeat of the promise of Messiah, the coming Redeemer. So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked about his wife. And he said, "She is my sister." That's familiar, isn't it? He seems to learn a lot from his dad. In fact, most of the life of Isaac, he's almost in his father's shadow. His children come after him, and Jacob in particular seems to be a central character. But a lot of the stories relating to Isaac, there's other people in the picture. Isaac remembers, well, when Dad went down south, he said that his wife was his sister. When Abraham said that his wife Sarah was his sister, he was telling a half-truth because she was his half-sister. But here when Isaac says that Rebecca is his sister, it's a 100% lie. Very clear, very open, very direct lie. For he was afraid because he thought, lest the men of the place kill me for Rebecca because she is beautiful to behold. She might be 80 or so years of age at this point. Strange that he would be so afraid that they would be wanting to take his wife. But again, people live longer. So perhaps if you're 70 or 80, that might be the equivalent of 30 or 40 today. Now it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked through a window and saw, and there was Isaac, showing endearment to Rebekah his wife. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Quite obviously she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I said, lest I die on account of her." And Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might have soon laid with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." So Abimelech charged all his people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." So we see the hand of God. Even though Isaac's not showing a whole lot of faith here, we still see the hand of God overseeing and protecting with the king of the Philistines, giving a protection over the family and the life of Isaac. Verse 12, "Then Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him." So the hand of God in Isaac's life. The man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous. And remember, at the start of his life, he was already very prosperous because he received all that Abraham had, and Abraham was a great man. For he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and a great number of servants, so the Philistines envied him. Seems to be a common theme. It's exactly the same today. We might be doing okay in our lives, but it always seems to matter what the person next to us is doing. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Just get on with your own life. Don't worry what the person living next to you is doing. If they've got a nicer jacket than you, who cares? Live your own life. Why do the Philistines care that here's a man who's prospering next to them? It just seems to be human nature. Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and they filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we are." Why not take the wells yourself? It just seems to be a destructive mindset from the Philistines. Isaac goes on a well-digging expedition. So he was camped at a particular place, and they pushed him away. But you've got to remember, Isaac's a powerful man. He probably has an army himself. He's probably well capable of defending himself. And in this little section of scripture, we learn something of the nature of Isaac. He's no hothead. Someone challenges him to a fight, and if there's a way out, he walks away. And that's a good godly principle. The Bible teaches us, as much as it be within our own power, be at peace with all men. I think Isaac is very wise to just walk away from a fight. He walks further away from the Philistines, digs another well, and then they chase him away from that well. And then he goes further away from them, digs another well. He could have fought them at any stage. He's a man of peace. He backs off. He doesn't want any problems. Eventually, he digs a well far enough away from them that they leave him alone. And in verse 24, we read, "And the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." Verse 25, I think, is a significant moment in Isaac's life. I think up until this point, Isaac's been playing with God. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, half committed, half not committed. And verse 25, I think, is the point where he seemed to commit to God. From this point on, I'm going to serve you. So he built an altar there, called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tents there. And there Isaac's servants dug a well. And this is the point, I think, where Isaac finally realises that God's for him. He's going to follow God, going to call on the name of the Lord. This is the first altar that Isaac builds. Abraham builds several altars, but this is the first record of Isaac building an altar. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the commander of his army. So he finally settled down. He's built the altar. He's moved a long way away from them. He's built 5 or 6 wells, getting further and further. Out comes Abimelech. Out comes this Philistine again. Got to be wondering what Isaac's thinking. Maybe at this point Isaac's thinking, you know what, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm going to send my own forces out. Who knows? I don't know what Isaac was thinking. I think he would have been pretty frustrated. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you." So we said, "Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you." These Philistines have finally worked out that that's probably the way they should have dealt with Isaac in the first place. And they want to make an oath with him. They were a pagan people, these Philistines. But they see something in Isaac, something about him. The God that he worships blesses him. He goes out and plants some crops and they explode. You know, the incredible return on them. He has a flock of sheep and they reproduce. Everything he touches turns to gold. And eventually their jealousy flips and they say, you know what? We're going to make an agreement with you, have a peace treaty with you. Verse 29, that you will do us no harm since we have not touched you, and since we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. That's an amazing rewriting of history. Every time Isaac found a place to live, he dug a well, started to prosper, they ran him out of town. And here all we've done is sent you away in peace. We've just been best of mates, haven't we? Bit of revisionism. You are now blessed of the Lord. Verse 30, so he made a feast with them, and they ate and drank. If nothing else, even though he has many faults, he is a very gracious man. This is a wonderful characteristic, this graciousness. Someone does something terrible to you, my natural instinct is claws out. But the godly thing, no. The godly thing is to be gracious towards people. Someone does something bad, to be gracious. Assume maybe they're just having a bad day. I'll let that pass. That's the way Isaac seems to be, just very gracious with people he had every right to be angry with. Then they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug. They said to him, "We've found water, another well." So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day.